When you're a kid, you have these moments where you're like, there's just so much joy. You know, it's like Christmas morning when you come out and you just like get to feel that like that joyful feeling inside. But I think especially when we're kids, we take that for granted and you don't really realize it until you're older, that you're like, God, that was such a magical experience. And the older and older you get, the more and more you try to find that. And I think that's where my story just kind of took off. The first time I went skating, it was magical. The first time I stepped on the ice, it was like someone was telling me, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Oh, cute. Oh, this was 2003. This was the good old days, man. It's what's so crazy about looking at these types of photos is how unbelievably confident I was. I think a lot of it just came from loving the sport so much. I think that it developed into this like personality almost. From the time I was 9 years old until I was 17, I dedicated my life to figure skating in every aspect of it. I remember watching the Olympics and seeing the emotion that these skaters had and how much it meant to them. I remember feeling so much emotion and wanting that every time I went out onto the ice for a competition, it was like, this is my moment. I always knew that if I trained hard enough, if I worked hard enough, that I could do it, I could make it. But I was getting older and the girls were getting younger, you know, and I was going through this weird transition of becoming a woman, but I was going up against girls who were like 5, 6, 7 years younger than me. That just hits you where it's like, what am I doing here? I think that's what just really pushed me to think like, I don't belong in this setting anymore. Not that I can't do it, I just don't belong here. Telling my coaches that I no longer wanted to compete, that was tough. That was tough because I was not sure if it was the right decision. And after I made the decision, I just walked away. When you quit something that is such a part of who you are and becomes your whole personality, you lose yourself and you slip into a deep depression. I was lost, especially at, you know, that age where it's like 18 to 22. I was completely lost. I didn't really feel like I knew who I was at all. Like, clean slate, blank pages, where do I start? And I felt like I was starting all over. There's this identity crisis of like, I don't know who I am now. Like, where'd all the writing go? There's nothing on the walls here. Like, I don't know who I am. And my entire existence and my entire identity was wrapped up in this sport. And now it's gone. After my stint of depression, part of me felt like I needed to start over. It was like, okay, I need to go back before skating. Like, what did I do when I was a little kid that I really loved, that I really enjoyed? And so I started hiking more, just spending more time in the outdoors, and progressed to multi-day backpacking trips. And then after backpacking trips, I was like, I'm gonna get into mountaineering. So I did that. I tried it all, bouldering, skiing all the time, like anything that I could do to give me that feeling of when I was skating. There were a number of times that I felt like I had really found what was gonna fill that hole, but at the end of each activity, I still felt like something was missing. But I kept looking and looking and looking. And eventually fly fishing found me, and my book just started over again. I remember when I first started fly fishing and the first time I stepped into the water, it was like stepping on the ice again. And I felt this wave of emotion that made me feel at home again. And this was exactly where I was supposed to be again. So I bought a kit and I taught myself. I was like, let's just keep going. And I think that's where I really realized that how hard it was and why I loved it so much.
Oh, do you see him, Doug? Oh, he freaking came up and jumped out of the water like he was just the biggest boy.
You're not really chasing anything, and I think that's part of why I loved it, is there is no end goal. There's no medal that you get at the end of it. And I think that was one of the biggest reliefs I felt, was the fact that I could just simply be and be happy.
And I'll take care of you along the way. My love, one day at a time, will leave our troubles behind. And you'll take care of me along the way. My love, one day at a time, will leave our troubles behind. Here with you in our treetop view, but it takes me to when I was young.
One of the biggest things that I've learned throughout this whole journey is just to trust myself. Go with whatever feels right. And sometimes that road is gonna be really freaking rocky and bumpy and hard. Life is hard. I mean, like, not knowing who you're gonna be sometimes is hard. Emotionally, mentally, is exhausting. But my life is going the way that it's going because of the decisions I've made, and I'm so grateful that it's going the way that it's going. I can't really picture my life any other way. I think when you're where you're supposed to be, you're just gonna know it.